Welcome, everyone, to a beautiful Thursday night. You're here with JP and Caleb on the Chiefs Focus First and 10 podcast network on a crazy, crazy week of free agency. I mean, this is The Sky is Falling Volume 3.
Yeah, basically.
And everybody's flipping shit right now over these trades, and everybody's supposedly getting better and we're just staying pat. I want to hear your input on this, because I've got my own thoughts, and I'll let you go and then we'll just move forward.
I think the Chiefs are going to be fine. A lot of these moves is kind of like a swing and it's a desperation move because some of these teams like the Chargers are really close and they think they can really beat the Chiefs. So they're going to pay a J.C. Jackson $70 million guarantee. They're bringing in a Khalil Mack. You see the Raiders are getting a Devontae Adams to help go against our defense. You see the Broncos bringing in Russell Wilson. So obviously teams are trying to get better. I mean, that's just the name of the game. The AFC West is now officially the best division in all of football. The AFC is the best conference. The NFC has nobody. Tom Brady will have a cakewalk to Super Bowl at this point. But when you look at the way this team is set up, the Chiefs will be fine for many different reasons. Number one, we have Andy Reid. He's a very good coach. He knows what he's doing. He has a lot of good players. Number two, we have Patrick Mahomes as our quarterback. He will make the right decisions. We haven't lost any of our key pieces. We've lost role players. We lost Byron Pringle. Understandable. You got to do moves like that when the cap situation is low. And number three, we have Brett Veach. People are complaining about Brett Veach. I see people out there saying, well, people saying he's going to be working at McDonald's. When you look at this, I put out several tweets. I said, one, we will be fine. Number two, we have been to 4 straight AFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl. That is pretty good. We have not seen the Chargers get close, the Broncos get close, or the Broncos, Chargers, and what team?
Raiders.
And the Raiders. We haven't seen any of those 3 teams get close at all in the entire last part of Alex Smith's era, going in all the way to Mahomes' era. The Chiefs have been the team running the division. Yes, did those teams get better? Yes. That's just how it's gonna go. But you have to trust your coaching staff and your GM and the scouts. The Chiefs don't have a lot of cap space. I don't understand. I know people are irritated because they're not making moves. The cap space is a weird thing to figure out because you see the Rams are still signing a lot of players, mainly due to the fact that Von Miller is not with them no more, so you don't have to worry about the contract there. There's a lot of moving parts, and the Chiefs are still figuring some stuff out. This draft is loaded with talent at positions that the Chiefs need. There's a possibility, we don't know, maybe they can get some players in that can come in now during free agency. But for now, you have to be patient. The teams that spend the most money during these times aren't the teams that do well.
No,
they're inconsistent sometimes. I will believe some of these teams are going to do well, but they're not going to be able to beat the Chiefs in the way people are thinking about. I'm seeing stuff. People are saying, "Oh, we're the 3rd best team in the AFC."
I saw somebody say we were dead last.
I'm like, guys, look. The sky is not falling. You still have Mahomes, your quarterback. You still have Tyreek Hill. It looks like they're working on an extension. You got Travis Kelce. You still got Brett Veach with these great defensive players. You brought in a younger safety. Hopefully, maybe we'll see Tyrann Mathieu come back. The longer it goes on, the more spots is getting taken away, so he may come back. I don't see him going to the Raiders mainly because they signed Devontae Adams, and that's a lot of cap right there. So I'm telling you, if they could get someone like Matthew back or maybe get some players trade for them, draft pick-wise, and they get the cap situation, look, we're only in the second day of the whole league year, and trades have been going on ever since Monday. Everything will be okay.
And it's not over
Calm down.
God, not over.
We still have cuts to be made when it comes to the draft. We have training camp. I mean, we still have literally 6 months of the off season left. So everything is going to be all right. Everything is going to be okay.
I tell you what, dude, it's hilarious because every year it's the same thing. Every year it's, why is Veach not doing this? Why is Veach not doing that? I mean, I swear to you, if Ray Lewis came out of retirement and said, I want to play again, they would want to sign him. I don't understand why it is that they feel they just, I get the frustration to a degree, just simply because when you're a fan and you're not like up close and personal with the game, or you haven't been, you may tend to think that these big name players mean everything. Look, man, your player is only as good as his surroundings, his supporting cast. Look, Devontae Adams going to the Raiders, he's got Derek Carr. He doesn't have Aaron Rodgers. That's night and day. Night and day.
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at that situation too, Aaron Rodgers got that big contract. From my perspective, it seems like Aaron Rodgers got all that money. I guess the Packers were willing to pay it, but Devontae was like, "Nah, I've seen enough of Aaron Rodgers. I'm ready to go somewhere else."
He didn't want to play on the tag. He flat out said it.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. And I think also what comes down to too is Aaron Rodgers only cares about himself. And I think Devontae finally saw that.
Yeah.
And I think we all see it. And as much as we don't like Tom Brady, at least when he's doing his contracts, like Mahomes, you can move the money around, or you're not taking a lot of money. You're allowing things to happen. And that's one thing I would say about Tom Brady. He understands. But you got other quarterbacks, such as like an Aaron Rodgers, who thinks it's about me. I'm going to come back. I'm not going to come back. I'm going to do the Brett Favre. I don't like Brett Favre, but I've turned into Brett Favre. I mean, you see the same issues over and over and time again happen. It's kind of like, I mean, when you lose a player like that, Aaron Rodgers, it'd be funny if he retired. Someone made a joke saying Jeopardy's calling him right now. I'm like, I would not be surprised.
Well, hey, you know what? He did a good job on there. He's got a great speaking voice. And he is, for the most part, extremely intelligent. Not just from a football IQ standpoint, but from.
Well, he thinks he's smarter than everyone in the room when that's not.
Well, he really does. Case. And that's not true. But he's arrogant. Okay. I mean, he is arrogant, and that it is what it is. Going back to some of these players that, we needed so badly. One of them came off a season-ending back injury or surgery, actually.
Oh, yeah. Let's go through them, JP. So the first person we're talking about here would be Zadarius Smith. JP, take it away with him. Because we got to go through all these players, why we didn't get them. Because, we have to break it down.
And there's still an opportunity now because he walked away from the Ravens. If I'm going to go out and look, I know Veach's mindset. It just is what it is. Mm-hmm. He is not going to take a chance he's not going to spend hard-earned cap money on a major what if. And, it's like everybody with Julio Jones. It's the same thing. It's everybody with Juju. Same thing. Juju spent the entire season on IR and came back for the playoffs and did nothing. But everybody wants Juju right now. Everybody wants Julio Jones. That's 34 years old. And I think he's 34, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. Or about to be. And he's been injury prone. If he was that good, the Texans wouldn't have cut him. It's that simple. They wouldn't have just let him walk. So when you look at a lot of these moves that have been made, just like the Jackson move for the Chargers, Belichick doesn't let go of great defensive players. He just doesn't. That's his bread and butter. So if he was and look, I would base my judgment off of Belichick's decision before I would base it off of anyone else's when it comes to a defense.
Because Belichick knows when to move on to players quickly, very quickly. He does it in a heartbeat.
He does. And if he's going to move on a player that's 25, he knows something that no one else knows.
Or he's just like, I can find someone that can help in this defense a lot better. I don't have to pay him that much money.
Exactly. So, and it's similar to what Veach does. I mean, Veach finds players. Look, there's been players that have been put on, we've let walk into free agency that I'm happy about, like a Daniel Sorensen and, guys in that caliber. The one that I'm not happy. There's two actually that I'm not happy with was Tyrann Mathieu. And I'm definitely not happy with Tarvarius Ward. I'm never going to get over that one. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I understand that his position commands money, but he's worth the money. He's one of the most consistent cornerbacks in the league. And
no, I agree with you.
And it's not an easy position to fill. Now, with that being said, people also forget what we have sitting on futures deals and in our practice squad. You know, you got
and training camp hasn't happened yet.
Exactly. I mean,
And
you got Jody
you're
Fortson
gonna
coming.
find people.
Yeah, Jody Fortson's coming back. Cuts aren't done. I mean, that's another thing. Cuts aren't finished. People aren't done cutting players. Everybody acted like it's over with by day 3. It's not over with. I mean, he made a move. It was a great move. The one thing that I am happy about, and it kind of gives me some optimism, is that Reed is very good friends with Tyrann Mathieu. He's worked out with Thornhill. I think that would almost, you know, if can you imagine our secondary if you had Tyrann Mathieu, Reed, and Thornhill?
And you know why? And you know why that'd be very important, JP? Do you want to know why?
Spit it out.
Because you can have Thornhill and Mathieu cover the back end. Make sure nothing is going to get over the top. You can let Justin Reed be the rover. Exactly. He can do that. He is so much better than Doherty Dan ever was.
Yeah.
With all due respect.
Yeah.
Just a better player. He could be the literal rover.
Exactly.
Or he could let Thornhill. They can switch it up. But you can have Mathieu to cover the back end. Or Mathieu can be the guy moving around. I mean, seriously, if they could bring Mathieu back, and the longer this drags on and teams are the longer this drives on and teams are giving out these big contracts, the better chance I think Tyrann could come back to the Chiefs.
I agree.
Like you said, JP, he doesn't want that much money. I think they can get it figured out. I think it'd be very beneficial to help the team overall because you're going to have to get better, but adding a Tyrann Mathieu was very important. We've already seen players like a Darius Smith. He's coming off a back injury. They're just not going to give the man 4 years, $32 million, 27.5 guarantee or whatever it is, some crazy number guaranteed. He played, 2-3 games that had a back surgery. Do we want a D4 2.0? No, we do not. No. Julio Jones has been fairly inconsistent for a large majority of his career due to injuries. Reach was not going to trade for him last year and keep up that contract. The Titans did that, and he did not do anything. Julio Jones went all year and caught 1 touchdown pass. That's not good.
A solid season. Good. And I understand that. And look, when you really look at their quarterback situation there, he's not the worst quarterback, but he definitely is accurate. And for a guy like Julio to catch 1 touchdown in a system that's really not complex when it comes to the offense, I mean, definitely not nearly as complex as ours.
It just shows you he's too injury prone. It's not worth the money.
And he doesn't have the speed anymore.
And it's just not worth it. You got to know when to move on.
You do.
What's another player, JP, people have been clamoring for?
Allen Robinson was another one that ended up with the Rams.
I mean, look, I wanted Allen Robinson, and that one kind of hurt. But the issue with that is that money. The Rams were able to make the cap space. The Chiefs weren't able to.
Not yet.
I'm at the point where I've come to the realization, I could be wrong, JP, but the Chiefs are going to get players, but Brett Veach is going to do like the New England way where we're going to get players on bargain deals. We're not going to sign every big name player. No. And that's just probably how it's going to be. As much as people think, we got Patrick Mahomes, sometimes it doesn't work like that. We saw many years where Tom Brady rolled out there with guys thinking that they 3 guys who we didn't think they were good receivers were pretty average in that system with a good defense, and they would be consistent all those years. The Chiefs are probably very well going to do something to that or similar with some star players, but managing the cap situation well. So when it comes down to the end of the day, the Chiefs cannot sign every single player. There is a cap. Yes, if you know how to work with the cap, you can have different things work out.
Yeah, the cap is a mythical number to a degree, but you have to be able to manipulate it. And there's been some issues. I will say this. There's been some skepticism, if you will, with some of the players within our own team right now over the whole situation that we talked about on the show that was way over fabricated at one point, but with a stupid article. But there's been a little bit of skepticism on that end of it. And then, we've made some coaching moves that were the right moves. They got rid of Madison, which was a very, very smart move. Mm-hmm. They brought in Nagy, which was another very intelligent move. His role is a lot bigger than what people think it is. I'm not going to really get into that right now because it's not worth embarrassing anyone or, calling anyone out any more than you have to. But I'll just say this, that his role is a lot bigger than what his title represents. Mm-hmm. So when it all boils down to it, if you really look at our football team, We have a 53-man roster. We've had, let's count them, big name players. We got Tyreek Hill,
Mahomes,
Kelsey,
Chris
Jones,
Tyrann
Mathieu, and Frank Clark.
I would put Ward in there too.
And Ward. I mean, but when you're talking about like big name players, like guys that everybody would die for, those are the guys
like 4
that,
or 5.
Yeah.
4 to 5.
So yeah, maybe 6 at the most. 6 out of a 53-man roster. And we've done things that no other team has done. Okay, so why is it that everybody is flipping out because we're not signing every big name player that's out there? It makes no difference what their name is. Somebody said, I'd rather sign OBJ, who is not going to be ready to play until the end of next season, but let's go ahead and sign him anyway.
For a long time. Yeah, he tore his ACL.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and sign him.
There's no point to waste the cap money.
Exactly. It's stupidity. Look, Jarvis Landry, okay, is he a good receiver? Yeah. Is he a solid number 2? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know if he would work in our offense.
I don't know if he would either. Yeah, I don't either. But there's so many players that everybody says, oh my God, we got to have him, because of their name. Their name doesn't mean anything. There's a reason why they're on the trade block, and it's not always just about money. I mean, if they're getting cut, there's a reason behind it, and it's not always just about money. If you've noticed, all of these teams are now trying to mimic what we've done by going after these younger players that are hungry, and it's working let me put it this
works.
way.
That's how you're supposed to build a team.
Exactly. You're building for the future. You're not building for yesterday or today or tomorrow, just tomorrow. You're building for 5 years from now. For the most part, if we didn't sign a wide receiver right now, if we didn't sign one from this point on, I am not concerned with it, because we have wide receivers that are able to fill shoes. I know no one wants to believe in Josh Gordon. Give him an off season, and I promise you he's going to be a lot better. Mm-hmm. You got Omar Bayless.
On the future deals that no one's talking about.
Nobody wants to talk about him.
Tape. Yeah. Look at his tape. He put J.C. Homer, last year's first-round pick, twisted the man's ankles, basically.
Yeah.
And you also got Cornell Powell. I don't blame them for letting a Pringle walk. I don't blame them for letting a Demarcus Robinson walk. It was time.
Yeah.
Those are the players I was talking about. For everyone's like, what 2 players are you talking about? Those are the 2 players. I'm talking about mainly Josh Gordon, and JP said it, and I meant mainly Cornell Powell, Josh Gordon. Also, I'll throw a third one. So Cornell Powell, Josh Gordon, and Omar Bayless. Those guys can really come in and help.
And we got 14.
At least Cornell Powell and Josh Gordon.
Yeah,
they're ready. They're going to be ready. Especially Powell's ready now.
Yeah. So I mean,
oh my goodness.
Everybody I've talked to said that Powell has got it down. So, and he's a big body wide receiver that everybody wants so bad. Well, we've got him, and we've got him on a cheap deal, and I think he can rival with the best of them. If he's got the playbook down, he's gonna run with the best of them. And you got Josh Gordon with all the experience, very highly educated individual with a great football IQ that needed time to adapt to our style of offense that he's never look, for everybody out there, there's not another offense in the NFL that is similar to ours when it comes to complexity. So it takes a little time for us to build it up. For everyone out there that says maybe we should dummy it down, you dummy it down, you're going to end up like Detroit. So let's just worry about what we can control and what we have that in players that are able to grasp the playbook and be able to push the needle. So
exactly.
It's getting to a point now to where these fans are just, I understand frustration, but the complaining and just trashing people is just getting over.
And JP, the other thing I want to add, you have respected Chiefs accounts out there leading the charge. And it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, man.
You've been here long enough too. You know they ain't gonna make moves. Like, bring some positivity. And we have all these fans that are Mahomes era fans. Yeah. And that's not all the fans, but it's kind of like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Look, you're not understanding how a cap situation works, how different things happen. Take a deep breath. It'll be all right.
And what people don't realize either is that we've built Super Bowl teams off of 1 and 2 year players. So what is different from then to now? Really nothing. The only difference is that we have some holes to fill in defense mainly. We've fixed our offense. We got to fix our defense. There's a few holes to fill. We filled one of them. We really should bring Tyron back, and that would solidify the safety room completely, and that would be done and over with. Then you fix the D line. You bring in a couple good, strong D linemen and maybe a linebacker. We've got corners sitting there like a Josh Jackson that can fill a hole. And Brett's never been a guy that, goes after 6 or 7 corners. So if you, I'm not going to get over the whole getting rid of Ward thing. That's never going to sit with me. I understand why, but I don't like it. I think his pass percentage was like 82.9. I mean, it was insane, or 89.2. He's just a phenomenal player, and it's hard for me to watch him walk away. Pringle, I like what he did. I think he is a rising star in the league. I think that it was better for him to go to another team simply because I think he would get more play time and probably become a little bit, more of a big name player, if you want to use it, use those terms. But, there's a lot of players out there that are still haven't been cut. Teams are still trying to figure out what to do just because. And look, I've had agents flat out tell me, if you think that these teams are pushing the needle by going out and spending $200 million on players, they're doing it for one reason and one reason only: to keep you guys from getting them. And they think they're going to get better. It's a desperation move for most of these teams.
Because when a player gets paid, an agent gets played.
Exactly.
So when you're going to bump up a Christian Kirk salary like that because they have the cap room, Dolphins have a cap room, the expectation is that, say that Tyreek Hill is going to get a lot more money. Yeah. Yes, Tyreek Hill deserves a lot of money. He does. But there's a limit when it comes to him and then other receivers as well. I think the Chiefs should pay Tyreek Hill, rightfully so. But when it comes to other wide receivers out there, it's kind of like, come on now. I mean, we see what you're doing here. Like you said, you had an agent tell you, like, you really think that these owners are going to, or the GMs are going to be like, really? They're going to be like, you're going to have to do this on a good basis. It's not going to be, crazy, because no one's going to have no money.
No.
That's just how it is.
It's like, who gives a shit what Miami does? And that's his words. And he goes, who really cares what Jacksonville does? He said, who cares what Carolina does? He said, you're talking about teams that really have no clout within the NFL, and it's not really going to make. And he's told me, he said most of the owners said they're standing pat. Now, when it comes to Tyreek Hill, the original numbers that we were told are going to go up a little bit, but he's still going to get restructured. He's going to get extended. I believe, from what I'm understanding, we'll probably hear about it by Monday. He's not going anywhere.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. So
I believe it's going to happen by Monday. And if anything changes at all, we'll know about it first. But last I heard was that
I wouldn't say the numbers, because
I'm not going to say the numbers.
Someone's going to run with it.
No, because everybody's going to run with whatever they want to run with. You got some idiot out there, Judge Reed, talking about, 4 years, 85 million, 70 million guaranteed, all this dumb shit that he put out there. None of that's real. His numbers are significantly higher than that, and rightfully so. But I'm not going to say what the number is. I'm just going to say that he is going to get extended, and Veach is smart enough to understand, and so is Tyreek. Tyreek doesn't want to leave.
He's not going. He's not going nowhere. I don't see him going anywhere.
No. Has it caused a little bit of issue with the Kirk signing? Yeah, a little bit. But it's not enough to justify anyone letting him go. I mean, no team in their right mind would let him go, especially when it creates cap space for you. So you just don't do that. Yeah, Mahomes wouldn't allow it to happen, I don't believe. They have too much of a chemistry. You can't release a once in a generational player. You just can't. So I even heard a story today. Somebody told me that they were talking about, oh, they're going to trade Tyreek. No, that's not going to happen. I talked to 5 other people and they all
If that
said
happens,
no.
we would be shocked.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't believe it's going to happen. If for some reason look, always remember too, guys, these agents, they are agents for multiple players. So they are very good at manipulating the value of a player. You know, if they're an agent for a wide receiver that plays for Miami and somehow they pull a big chunk of money for him and he's really not worth it, then that means they're able to pull more money for their other players with other teams. And also, you know, it just makes their bank account bigger. Rosenhaus is one of those guys that he usually gets what he wants to a degree, but he about lost Tyreek Hill over the first contract. So I don't see this as a stopping point at this time. Everybody I've talked to said this should be done by Monday or at least announced by Monday. From what I understand, I think it's already agreed upon now. So we'll just have to, you know, everybody just needs to chill out and calm down. We're not going to falter. We're not going to drop dead. Nobody's going to, we're not going to be the dead last team in the AFC West. None of that stuff well, you know, I've seen guys, oh my God, everybody's making these great moves. They're all going to be better than us. Look, man, again, you're only as good as your supporting cast. You're only as good as your coaching staff. It's that simple. You can take anybody you want and put them in a system and they may not work out because of that system. We have proven this time and time again with players that have went to other systems and failed and came here and thrived. We've had players that have thrived here and went to other systems and went downhill. So you can't base it upon a name or who they go to because they may not have the coaching staff. They may not have the playbook. They may not have anything that we have to make that player better. So just chill out. There's a lot of time left for us to make moves.
A lot of time.
A lot of time. I mean, there's 5 ways right now that Veach can create cap space. And I believe that he can get 4 of those done. So just let it happen. That's all we're saying. The sky's not falling again for the 4th straight year. It's, we're still here. I don't know what else to say. I mean, the negativity and I understand worrying. I get it, but I don't understand.
You're not getting paid.
Yeah.
I mean, you on Twitter all day complaining. I'm like, you realize the Chiefs only bring you joy and pain. They're not paying the water bill, the light bill, the phone bill, the rent, the car note. I mean, they're not.
I want to know who pays their bills because I'd like to get involved with them. I mean, I'd like to get my bills paid to sit on Twitter all day long, but I can't. So
it's just like, guys, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, it just happens, man. I mean, this is part of another thing. Next year, our cap space is going to be about $66 million to start off the season. So if we go into this season right now and say we bring in, which I believe what we're going to do is probably bring in maybe 2 more free agents, and then we're going to go to the draft. We're the only team in the NFL that has the most the first day rookies, or day 1 rookies, I should say, in the league. I mean, I don't know of too many teams that have brought in 5 or 6 rookies and they were all day 1 players.
Yeah, not many teams can do that. The Chiefs and the 49ers are the 2 organizations I know.
Yeah.
And I would say the Patriots.
Yeah,
so
the
those
Patriots.
2 organizations
On defense, the Patriots have been able to do it. Yeah. And 1 player on the offense. They did well with Mac Jones, but he wasn't he got to the Pro Bowl because of their record, but believe me, he threw, I think, 33 touchdowns. Most of them were 1 and 2 yards. There was a game that they ran the ball 32 straight times because they knew that he wasn't going to be able to pass the ball. So you have to realize that there's times things may not work out in your favor, but it'll work out in the team's favor. And that's where you put the faith and the trust, is the guys that do this every day, day in and day out.
Exactly.
Does Veach have his hands full right now? Yeah, he
Well,
does.
most definitely he has his
Yeah,
hands full. I mean,
but it's not like he can't work it out. He's the only guy that would fix this to begin with. So,
mm-hmm.
and that was even willing to do it. So let's all remember that before we go nuts and start calling people names. And please do me a favor. I'm just going to ask this, and then I'll get off this subject. Can you please stop going on Tyrann Matthews' page and saying, get the hell out of here? And then 5 seconds later, the same guy say, I love you. I wish you'd stay. Can you please stop doing that? Just if you're going to go on there, encourage the man. If you don't have anything encouraging to say, don't say it. It's not helping us in any way by going on there and doing that. It's hard enough to bring in players and keep players in this league. We don't need that going on. And I see it day in and day out on his page. I see it on his Instagram. And it's sad that people, they've written him off like he was nobody. And
that's like his plays with Sorensen compared to Sorensen. It's a lot better. And
yeah,
they're acting. That's what they're acting like. It's
yeah.
like, guys, let him be. He's a really great player. Tyrann Matthews is one of the reasons why the defense was able to turn around and win a Super Bowl.
He really is. He really is. And you got to respect what the man did. It's that simple. Don't disrespect him because if he's gone, if he does leave or he ends up getting signed somewhere else, then great for him. I mean, I hope he's happy. I know he'd be happier staying here, especially now that he's got two of his good friends there. I think he would love to stay here, but it's all, and I think there has been some talks finally between them two, between the team and his agent. So maybe things will work out in that direction. It would be great to have that 3 safety set like that.
Oh, I'm hoping that happens. I'm hoping that happens.
I mean, that would be phenomenal. You think about, you got those 3 guys, you got Snead on one side, maybe Josh Jackson and Fenton. You got so much opportunity in the secondary with a 3 safety set. And who you
could also draft too.
Yeah, and draft as well.
You could fix the defensive line with signing maybe a player or two that no one's really talking about.
Exactly.
Then they could also possibly draft a couple players, maybe trade for a player when it gets closer to the offseason. I mean, there's a lot of moves that can be made. Yeah. A lot of moves.
Yeah. And, you got a lot of time left to make these decisions. It's what, we're 4 days into free agency and everybody's flipping out.
Yeah.
So let's just, relax and enjoy the fact that our window's not closed and it's not closing anytime soon. I don't care who's in. Are we the toughest division in football? Yeah, we are. But I still believe we're the best team in the AFC West. And I think we're going to continue to be that because we have, again, you can't put everything on Mahomes' shoulders, but we still have other players on this team that have been the best for a long time and are going to continue to still be the best. You still got Travis Kelce. You still got Tyreek Hill. You still got McCall Hardman. You still have all of these guys that have gotten us to a Super Bowl, two Super Bowls, AFC championship games, all these places that we've been. And there's still a lot of free agents out there. So give the man time to do his job and what he's best at, which he's better than anybody in the league at fixing these type of issues, and just move forward. Because again, the cap is just a number. It's a manipulating number, or a manipulatable number that you can do a lot of things with if you just let the man do his job and stop trashing everybody. That's simple. Now, who else did we miss on? Oh, wait, let's get into this Juju thing real quick because I'm kind of tired of hearing about that too. If we sign him, it better be cheap, but he sat all last year. Everybody wanted him last year. We said we supposedly missed on him, which we didn't. We dodged a bullet because then we would have been spending money on a guy that sat until the playoffs.
I heard. Yep.
So, if we get him, okay. If we don't, okay. It is what it is. Jarvis Landry, will he fit in our system? Who knows? I mean, it's really hard to say. It's one of those, he's a player that you can't really read very well. So it's difficult to say if he would fit within our system. Allen Robinson went where he got the money. It is what it is. You can't.
You want to get paid.
You want to get paid. He got paid. It is what it is. He did want to come here, and we had an opportunity, at one point to make some trades for him. It didn't work out. This time it didn't work out. So it is what it is. Maybe it'll happen a year from now. We don't know. We don't know what'll happen next year, but Then who else? There were some defensive players that everybody went crazy over. Give me some names, Caleb, because I can't think
Oh
of them
man,
right
I'm
now.
trying to. Let me look back through. We already said Zay. I forgot that Za'Darius Smith. We already explained the issue there. We have J.C. Jackson. We already explained there. They paid the man $70 million, but we already explained that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Another one. I can't think of the other one. JP.
There was one other
Wasn't there
one that
one?
everybody went crazy because somebody else signed him, and I don't remember who it is right now. Then somebody brought up
Oh, the
Clowney.
Raiders signed. Yeah. What was his name? Chandler
Oh,
Jones.
yeah, and then Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack has been
Khalil
going
Mack.
downhill for 2 straight years. He's beat up. He's not nearly the player that he was 3 years ago. So I'm not concerned with him. I don't think he's going to get. Look, we've got the number 2 offensive line in the league. I don't believe for one second that he's going to make that huge of a difference for their defense. Is he going to make somewhat of an impact? Maybe, but he's not the end all to the Chiefs. In fact, none of these moves so far have been the end all to the Chiefs. Russell Wilson has proven to me, unless he can change something, he's had 2 of the best wide receivers in the league and a great running back, and yet he's an 8-game winner, and it's usually the first 8 games. And then he falls flat on his ass for the rest of the season almost every year. So everybody said, well, he was hurt last year. Well, what about the year before? What about the year before that? What about the year before that? Okay. I mean, you have to look at it from every perspective. Not every player is going to walk right in and make somebody a Super Bowl contender. It's just not going to happen. I don't believe that Denver is going to be a Super Bowl contender this year. Are they going to be better? Yeah, they're going to be better, but they're still not going to be a Super Bowl contender. They're just not. They may be a playoff contender, but they're not a Super Bowl contender. So there are some players out there. There's a whole list, a laundry list of free agents right now, and a lot more that are going to be cut in the next few days. That Veach can snag onto, or if he wants them, if they'll fit within our system. But he does know what he's doing. So I would, this has been the hardest year for him when it came to, well, second hardest. The first hardest was when he had to get us out of the John Dorsey hell.
And people were saying John Dorsey is better than Veach. I really broke it down, and I was like, "You gotta be kidding me, man! Come on now."
Yeah, come on. I mean, that's just plain stupidity. I'm sorry, but that's just dumb. To say something like that is like, I mean, that's like saying friggin' Kirk Cousins is better than Joe Montana. It's not real. So people say things out of frustration and anger, and I understand it, but sometimes you go a little too far.
It's like, were you not here?
You not here? A lot of them weren't here. I mean, I think that's the part of the problem, is that a lot of them weren't here from 2017 back. They were here from Mahomes era, the Mahomes era guys. And, we see big accounts that started up in 2018, and they're fair weather fans. Sorry, but that's what they are. They're fair weather accounts. We
started in 2018, but I've been watching this for a long time.
Yeah.
Long time.
It's crazy. I mean, I've been on here since 16 on Twitter, and the actual Chiefs focus started in 18, but you were on Twitter prior to that.
Yeah, I've been on Twitter, and I've seen the stuff going on. I've been basically watched them full time since 2010.
Yeah. So, I mean, and it's just kind of one of those things. You just have to wait and see and be patient, because we're not going to be the bottom of the barrel. We're not going to be dead last in the AFC. We're not going to be dead last in the West. None of this is going to happen. It's just all speculation, because everybody seems to think that everybody else is getting better around us. Look at it like this. Those are desperation moves. What that is Mahomes has put the fear of God in everyone, and they are trying to beat the desperation has come out so hard that they're spending money that they don't have on players that they don't know will work out, just to try to rally and contend with us. That's what they're really doing. We're not doing that. I mean, if you really look at it, the best 3 teams in the league right now are the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Patriots, when it really boils down to it, in the AFC. The best 3 AFC teams. The Patriots, hands down, best defense in the league, or in the AFC. So, and arguably the best head coach next to Andy Reid. You know, I think they're pretty much tied in my opinion, except for Andy Reid's more of a player's coach than Belichick. But the top teams are the quietest. They haven't made the big splash moves. They haven't done all the crazy stuff. All these guys that have been struggling for the last 10 years are the ones that are making these big splash moves, which they've done almost every year for 10 years and still haven't gotten anywhere. So let's just look at it from that standpoint, and we can maybe feel a little bit better about things. But who else do we got? You know, let's look at something here, because I put out a thing about questions, and I want to see what we got here for questions. I like what Kelvin City has said. Carr to Adams is still Carr throwing the ball. Nothing to worry about. Exactly. That was my point. It's not Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball. It's Derek Carr. Okay. That's a night and day difference. Adams is going to realize that as well. He may not be happy with what his situation was in Green Bay, but if he's chasing money, that's on him. If he's chasing glory, then he would have stayed where he was at. It kind of just is what it is, or went to a team with a good quarterback. Do you see these questions? Because I can't see them right now.
I can pull them up for you. I got you.
All right.
Give me 1 second. It was in the middle. Oh, the world was falling.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. The first question is from Reset Ladir. He's our Chiefs fan. He's in France. Everyone, really, really nice guy. Has been on a couple of our spaces. His question is: as of now, I think we need seat cornerback 2, 3 at elite level, or are we going to fight back? I say the draft. It may do. I say that the draft. There's a lot of question marks there. So basically, what are our thoughts? Do we need a CB2, CB3? What can they do in the draft?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think when it comes to the CBs, we still have Josh Jackson that's waiting in the wings, and we got Fenton, we've got Snead. Who else? We got one more. Who is it? I can't think of his name.
Josh Jackson, Baker,
DeAndre Baker. We could pick up one in the draft that could be a day one starter, or we may be able to find a veteran that gets cut somewhere or sitting on somebody's team that's not happy on, and do a trade. We have like 4 7th round picks. So, yeah, and then in the draft, yeah, we can make some trades with these picks that we have. We can combine stuff during the draft and make some splashes there. Veach has been looking at the draft. He knows this is a defensive heavy draft. So he's going to find those guys that he wants, and he will get them. So I think when it comes to the corner, we may sign one more, but to let Ward go, which is hurtful to me, tells me that Veach has a plan, or he would have never let Ward go.
Oh yeah.
It's that simple.
He would not have, and that's the way Belichick does. I ain't going to let you go if I got a plan, or I'm going to figure something out. That's basically what they do.
Exactly.
Basically what they do from that standpoint. And I echo everything you say, JP, there. He will find the players, reset. Hey, man, just letting you know, we'll be doing some articles pretty soon about the draft coming out, more in-depth articles. So, hey, be prepared to look for those. So we're going to be talking about that there, too.
Oh, and you know who else we forgot about is Fountain.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, that is true.
You don't know what he's going to do this year. I mean, he maybe the time off and then practicing, getting through the season, he may turn out to be a lot better than everybody expects him to be. So we have players. But go ahead. What's the next question?
Oh, you're good, man. You're good. The next question is from Henry Matthews. He says, as a Chiefs fan, it's hard not to be paranoid about the division, about what the division games look like next year. I mean, man, they're going to be tough. I mean, that's just kind of how it is. But just expect the Chiefs are going to figure out what they're going to do. Andrew Reese is going to play to the team's strengths, attack the opponent's weaknesses, and come out with a victory. I mean, they do that every single year. It'll work out. It'll work out.
I agree. Every year, each team in our division tries to make a splash with some player or two. And every year, it's either they don't fit in the system, they're not utilized correctly, or it was the wrong pick altogether. So I'm not real concerned with any of the moves that have been made, simply because these are guys going into teams that they have no knowledge of. And these are also teams that don't have the greatest front office to or coaching staff to utilize these players. So we have to look at it from that standpoint. So I'm not real concerned about it, what everybody else is doing, because it's irrelevant. I mean, they've done it for years and it's gotten them nowhere. So is it concerning? To some degree. I don't worry nearly as much as everybody else seems to, but I guess that's because I sat through, 25 years of watching this team get right there and then fall off, right there and then fall off, right there. So it now I see a team that not only has a phenomenal head coach, but a phenomenal GM, a phenomenal quarterback, one of the best wide receivers, if not one of the best wide receiver in the game, at least by number 2. And then you got the best tight end in football. And then you've got add-ons with that, with Jody Fortson and all these other guys that can just step in and make plays. McCall Hardman, everybody can step in and make a play. And there's players, I know there's two running backs, I'm sorry, that either will be cut or will be traded. And I would love to see one of those two in Kansas City. I'm not going to say their names because I don't want to jinx it, and I don't want somebody else to chase after them, because that inevitably is what happens. But if we end up with one of these two running backs to complement what we have right now, and one of them, oh my,
that'd be very helpful.
That would be extremely helpful. So, and I know he's, I know he'd love to play here, and I think he's going to be cut. So, or he wants to leave, that's for sure. But anyway, I hope that answered your question. I don't know if it did or didn't, but I hope.
I think we did. Yeah, we did. Thank you, Henry, for the question. The next one is from Wonderful Trevor. And he says this in all caps, when is Veach going to pull the trigger on Juju? The world wonders. Well, Trevor, I'm going to try now. If he does, great. If he doesn't, as JP said earlier, I don't think he's going to add much value to the team, unfortunately. Just kind of how it works out there. If we get him, great, but we got players on our roster right now that will be just fine. So yeah, that's the route I'm gonna go.
I'm 100% with you. Look, I am thoroughly confused as to why everybody would want an injury-prone wide receiver. I just don't understand that. It's baffling to me that people are so interested in these wide receivers that have been injured time and time again. I've seen OBJ, which won't be able to play until the end of next year or this year. I've seen that numerous times. I've seen Jarvis Landry, which we don't know whether he would be able to fit in our system or not. And I've seen Juju, and I've seen Julio Jones. Julio Jones has fallen off. He's been injured. Juju's been injured. Landry, we don't know yet. Nobody would know how he would fit in the system. And I think that's probably a question mark for Veach as well, and Andy. So I would rather have a younger, maybe not as experienced wide receiver that could learn the system, or maybe already has, versus somebody that's been injured numerous times over and over and over again. I mean, 3 straight ACL tears, an Achilles tear.
Not good on the body. Not good.
It's just not good. So why spend money on people that you don't know is going to, it's like we did that with Sammy, and we don't want to repeat. I mean, and look, he's out there as well, and somebody brought him up and said, well, what about Sammy Watkins? Do you think there's a chance he'd come back?
No way he's coming back.
I don't believe he'd ever come back.
You don't pay him all that money to play 8 games.
Exactly. I mean, if he came back for league minimum or $4 million a year or something like a normal number, that's, I say $4 million, he'd probably be worth 8, but
no, you don't pay him even that.
No, but
wasting cap. in
He
my
really
opinion.
is. I mean, when you really think about it, it's a waste of cap. He's just injury prone. It wasn't the greatest parting. He had a couple of things to say. And I'm not saying that he said anything really negative. He was very happy that he wasn't going to be the decoy for Tyreek Hill anymore. He was actually going to be that guy. Mm-hmm. And it's weird, for being that guy, he's back on the street again. So I guess that's my point, is that, when these guys are on the street, there's a reason why. So it's not always just about money.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's good. Good.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Is that all you want to say for that one?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. All right. The next question from Tim Gershon. His question is the hold up cash flow for Hunt? Is a hold up cap hits due to not restructuring Mahomes and extending Hill, or both? You want to take this one, JP?
Hold up of what? Money?
Yeah.
Is that what he's getting at, the cap?
I guess he's trying to say Carr doesn't have enough money, and also talking about cap situation.
I don't know if there's so much of a holdup of anything. There's some, there's some things to be worked out with the cap, but I think they can be worked out. And if the money was needed, it could be handed to them fairly quickly if it was somebody that they really wanted to sign right this minute. The one thing Veach was trying to do from the beginning of the offseason was retain the players that he wanted to keep, figure out the financials, and then release the players or trade the players that he didn't want to keep, whether he was going to let them walk in free agency or he was going to be able to trade them. Some he couldn't trade, so he had to let them walk. You always want to retain the guys that got you where you are and then add to that. So I think the fact that he does have an opportunity, if needed, to be able to grab that cap money when it's needed. He could sign somebody, and as long as there's an agreement, whether it be a bonus structure contract with somebody else or a restructuring or whatever the case may be, he would be able to grab that and, or sign somebody, or, potentially sign them and then grab the money, later on or afterwards, or however you want to look at it. But I don't know if it's so much of a holdup from that standpoint, or if I think it's more of a retain who you have right now, sign who you really need and want after the fact. Yeah. He has the players that he's been really chasing haven't left. They're still there, with the exception of one, or let's say, really one. Most of the players are still available. So it's not like he's losing anybody, because if he wanted those players, he would have already done it. It's that simple.
No, I agree with you too. Yeah, it just comes down to what Veach is going to find the right guy for the right situation, the right amount of money. He's not going to spend 4 years, $32 million. You have 24 of it fully guaranteed to a guy like Zadarius Smith after he's coming off a knee, after back surgery. I mean, that's just not going to happen. Now, he's out there now. I don't know how much money he's going to command, but I'm telling you, Veach is not going to pay him that much. So it's give and take, guys. Give and take.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these players, a lot of these agents and teams are going after players simply so we don't get them, and they can try to bolster their roster to rival us. And most of his desperation moves, I think Mahomes has put this team in general, not just Mahomes, he's done a lot of it, but this team in general has put the fear of God in a lot of teams.
They have. He has.
And they know it from last year. They know the turmoil that we went through last year. They know all the changes that we made. They watched us rebuild an offensive line and still make it to the AFC Championship game without a Sammy Watkins, without adding anybody extra, losing players left and right to COVID, injured players from really week 4, week 5, between Travis Kelce, Tyrann Mathieu, and we still went to the AFC Championship game. Chris Jones, I'm sorry, I forgot about him. And we still got where we needed to be, and we had subpar players on our team to a degree. We had Daniel Sorensen, we had, Jaron Reed, which wasn't the greatest. We still got where we needed to be and had a tough ass schedule. Mm-hmm. So, it puts the fear of God in people. They know they know that Veach knows what he's doing, and Andy knows what he's doing with these young players. So I think that's where a lot of this is coming from.
You're not wrong, man. I agree with you 100% there. I agree with you right there. All right. The last question is from Shaw. He was in our spaces last night. Great guy. His question is, what are the moves you guys think we need to make? I'm not asking for flashy moves, but yeah, maybe OBJ, or a DE. I'll take this one first, JP.
Please.
So I agree with him. Yeah, flashy moves, you're not really going to get him during this time. You just don't got the cap space for him. I don't think you're going to get maybe an OBJ, but you might get a DE if, say, someone were to get cut or a trade were to happen. You have a lot of players are having it to where they're getting bonuses coming up this weekend in the next couple weeks. We're going to see some post-June 1st cuts happen and some after June 1st cuts happen. Yep. So there's a lot of moving parts there. So I believe DE is an option, but they will probably find a DE in the draft.
Yeah, I agree with you. And as far as OBJ is concerned, why sign somebody that's not going to be able to play for an entire season? There's just no point.
As we said earlier.
Yeah, I mean, and not only that, I mean, and what's to say the following season that he doesn't tear his ACL again? I mean, what's to say that something else doesn't happen? He's just kind of injury prone. There's I think 3 flashy name wide receivers left, maybe 2 or 3. One of them being Jarvis Landry. Then you got OBJ and you got Julio Jones. Juju, in my opinion, is a name, but it's not. There's not a lot of flash that comes along with that, unless you consider TikTok dances and stuff like that. That's flashy, but it's just it's a very, very complex thing that you have to be very methodical when you do it. And you may, and we like I said, we've won with some no-name guys, man. I mean,
yeah, they can do it.
Guys that nobody ever even heard of, and then all of a sudden, their names are well known because they did something insanely great because they're hungry. We have said this time and time again for the last, I don't know how many years. The most hungry guys in the NFL, or any sport for that matter, are the guys that go in the late rounds or undrafted. And when you can pick up those guys that no one else believes in, you're going to get the most production out of them, and you're going to get a guy that really wants to study and learn the game. We've done it ourselves so many times over the last 4 years, 5 years really, that it's like Groundhog's Day. I mean, we see it happen so often that we're not really we don't need to have flashy big name extras when we have, or names when we have all the extras that that I guess you don't have to have the lead role guy when you have the extras that are just as good, if not better, as I guess how I should put it. So
I agree with you, man. I agree with you.
I don't know. That's just my opinion, but
I agree with you.
So. Anyway, I think we had a couple of DMs. Let me check really quick.
Okay,
I think so.
I think we pretty much covered everything else besides those 2 the DMs. And
somebody put wasted career for Devontae Adams by going to the Raiders. Let's see. Nolan Rogers, when are we going to sign some big names? Nolan, I've talked to you for a long time, buddy. You're a good dude. And I really like, our conversations back and forth all the time. But you know me well enough to know, and you know the team well enough to know that big names don't really matter. It's production that matters, and it's fit, and it's fit within the scheme and fit within the culture. And whether they're a big name or a small name or a no name or whatever you want to call them, John Doe, Jane Doe, whatever, it doesn't really matter at this point. We need hungry, intelligent football players. Doesn't have to be the big name guys, because most of those guys come with a chip on their shoulder and they've been played out. If you really want to know the truth, you can place somebody into the dirt, and by the time, because they have a big name for 2 years, then and then they go to another team and they fall apart. OBJ did it with, he was great with the Giants for a couple of years, had injuries, went to Cleveland, didn't do much, went to the Rams, did really well up until the end of the season towards ACL. So big names don't mean a whole lot. Hunger, determination, heart, and intelligence means more than anybody's big name. So, the Raiders can go out and sign Devontae Adams. The Broncos sign Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson hasn't done nothing since 2010, really. I think that was their last Super Bowl appearance, right? It was
2011 or 12.
Yeah,
they've been consistent, but haven't got really anywhere.
Exactly. So, I mean, if they get in the playoffs, it was a first round loss. He's the last 3 or 4 years, he's been good for about 8 games, and then he just seems to fall off the ladder. And, as far as Devontae goes, he was fantastic in Green Bay because he had Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball. They had a very good chemistry. I don't think he's going to have that chemistry with Carr, especially off the bat.
Well, he played with him in college.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're going to have that chemistry now right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it may not be that instant success.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Joe Burrow Chase situation where they just came out of college playing together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, these guys, are 1 year, 2 years out of college, where these other guys are 8 years out of college. So, I don't know, man. It's going to be, in my opinion, the big name guys, they don't mean a whole lot to me anymore. I've kind of, hold on one second. Let's see.
Is that all the questions?
That's all the questions, but
Okay.
It looks like Fletcher Cox may be going back to the Eagles.
Okay. That doesn't surprise me. That's kind of where he's always been back and forth with them. So,
yeah. It may happen. It may not. It says they're making progress.
okay.
He was one of the guys on the radar that I wouldn't mind seeing in a Chiefs uniform. You've got some defensive players out there that are older, but have a lot of life left in them. You got like Calais Campbell and, guys like that could still play the game. And they may be a 1 or 2 year player, but that's okay if that 1 or 2 year player can develop your young guys and get them on the right track. So when they're ready to go or retire, your young guys are ready to step and fill those shoes. So, Veach isn't, a guy that loves to bring people in over 30, but that's why we didn't go after Deshaun Jackson, because of his age.
Yeah, and injury history. So it just shows you time and time again, there are certain things that happen. So.
Correct. So we have a good roster. We have guys sitting in the wings. We don't know how those guys are going to turn out. I feel like, in my opinion, given the fact that they have been sitting in the wings, they've been practicing, studying, learning the playbook, and they are very intelligent. I think they're going to come out strong. I believe, in my humble opinion, this is not something that to some degree I was told this, but because I asked about the Ward situation, because I was a little upset. I'm still upset about it, but they said, well, they do believe that Josh Jackson is going to be able to come out and play very strong.
That's good. That's what you need to hear. That's exactly what we need to hear.
Yeah. And I had a feeling anyway that he was going to be one of those guys. And remember, guys, we've mentioned it, and I'll mention it again. We got Jody Fortson coming back. We got Omar Bayless sitting and waiting in the wings. We've got who else? Another wide receiver that's on the
Gordon.
Josh Gordon. That's finally had a year off or a year to practice and learn, and he'll have a whole off season to work with Mahomes. I think we have 7 guys on a futures contracts right now. Even if we land 3 of those guys, or say maybe lucky and get 4 of them that turn out to be studs, we're not really hurting ourselves. That was part of the reason why Veach did that. A lot of teams don't pick up 7 or 8 future contract deals, when they have a bunch of cap space. Veach picked him up because he knows that they're in Andy. They know they can potentially be great players on a cheap budget and still get us where we need to be. So we got to look at it from that standpoint.
I agree, man.
And when Jody comes back, that's a force, brother. And I've already said it, and I'll say it again. I've been told he's progressed faster than anybody with that injury. So they said he could easily start, if he continues on the road that he's on, he can easily start day one this year. So if that's the case, I mean,
be perfect.
That'd be perfect. You know, I mean, he was a force before he got injured. The guy was scaring the hell out of people. And him on the other side of Travis Kelce is that's a hell of a duo right there. So, you know, and we did, you know, we retained some players that we retained somebody today. Who was it?
Like Wiley.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, you know, it's really not a bad thing. I don't know what you think, but I'm kind of glad he's back. It's not
a bad move. I kind of want someone else personally, but it works. It works for now. So
yeah, it works for now. And there's players that we could easily trade for, you know, trade later on or in the next week or so. We may be making trades for somebody else with some of the players that we've retained. So you just don't know what we're going to do yet. You know, I mean, there's plenty of time left. So let's just be positive and not worry so much and let Veach do his thing. And again, you know, I've heard he's over his head. I've heard he's, you know, a lot of different things about him over the course of the last 4 days. And I don't think that, you know, he's in that position. I will tell you that there were some PR nightmares that arose that put some skepticism into some of the players, not only that we have now, but players that were coming in, and that part is understandable. I don't think it would have gotten nearly as publicized if something stupid didn't come out, but it did. So it hurt the team more than it helped. I will put it that way. Not just from a player standpoint, from an internal player standpoint or an active player, but from bringing players in. The rumors were already circulating around the league last year, as we talked about from week 4 on. We didn't get into fabrication or, you know, this big novel about shit that didn't make much sense, but we just told the facts, you know. Oh, and by the way, I think we mentioned this week 5. I have a cousin that is, well, everybody knows I have a cousin in Cleveland that's a ESPN affiliate, but they have been trying to figure out a way of getting out of Baker Mayfield's contract, getting away from him.
They'll probably trade him. They'll trade him this offseason.
Well, he's requested a trade now.
And they denied it, but I think he's going to get traded.
Yeah, so I think they're going to trade him.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to stay. I mean, he knows he's not wanted there. He knows he's the reason why a lot of players don't want to stay there. I could see him going maybe to the Colts, but
Colts or Seattle.
Maybe Seattle, but I mean, I don't think he would do well in Seattle with Pete Carroll. Although he could probably, it seems like Carroll seems to be a little bit of a pushover sometimes, but you have to have a very stern coach that is willing to get in your face and tell you, you know, you're being a jackass. It's time to chill out and, you know, be the person that you came out of college that you were supposed to be, instead of riding the bench or being scared that you're going to lose your job and play through an injury that you shouldn't have played through. So, and if he's, with his arrogance, if they deny his trade because they want it, you know, when a player requests a trade, usually that comes along with where they want to go to. That's probably why they denied it. They're going to ship him off where they get the most value out of him, because they don't want him, but yet they're not going to lose him and not get any.
If Deshaun goes to Atlanta, then he will go to the Saints. I'm calling it now.
I'll guarantee it. Guarantee it. And it looks like Atlanta is the landing spot for, it's the front runner for them. I know the Seattle is involved and was interested in him. There's like 5 teams that were interested.
It's only Saints and the Falcons now. Those are only 2 teams.
Only 2 teams that
Yep, those are only 2 teams.
Yeah. So, well, as we have seen, like last year,
he came out and say it. They came out and said those are the only 2 teams. So,
well, I understand, but remember last year
I
when
don't
they
think there's going to be a dark horse. So,
well, that's what I was kind of wondering, if there was a dark horse out there that may want him, but who knows? We found that out last year with the Rams. Remember when we found out that there was I said there was a West Coast team that was interested in him, in OBJ. That's who it was. So, a lot of times there's dark horse teams out there that may want him.
I just don't think in this situation, because he has all the leverage.
He does have the leverage.
He said the 2 teams, and it's probably going to be Atlanta.
I think so too. They need him. I mean, they really do. I'm not saying the Saints don't, but I think Atlanta's in a more of a desperate situation for somebody as good.
Oh, for sure.
And let me ask you, just real quick, this has been a debate between myself and a few other people. I want to know your opinion on his playing ability. Like, if you had to rank quarterbacks in the league today, and let's just take what they consider the 5 or 6 elite quarterbacks in the league. Okay, when you got Mahomes, you got Jackson, you got Matthew Stafford now. Who else? Who else can I throw in there? Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Where would you rank Deshaun Watson? Because I have my ranking where he belongs, because I think he's phenomenal. Where would you rank him out of, just say, the top 5, 6 elite quarterbacks, or what they consider elite?
I put him top 10, but he can easily be top 5.
Yeah, I think he would rival any quarterback in this league other than Mahomes. I think he's right. I think the guy is good. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a very good quarterback, and he's very intelligent. I think he's one of the best in the league when his mind's right and he's able to play. I mean, you've seen what he was able to do. He was a very good quarterback. I think I don't know, man. I think whoever ends up with him is going to be a very, very happy camper, because I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think when you really rank him down, you've got Mahomes, Rodgers. Rodgers, he's great in the regular season, kind of falls off in the playoffs, but I think Deshaun Watson ranks up there, top 5 quarterback. I really do.
I agree with you. I think he does.
Yeah. I mean, in fact, there's been some debates about what would have happened if we would have ended up with Deshaun Watson instead of Patrick Mahomes. I think we'd have been fine. I don't know if we'd be we
wouldn't be a Super Bowl, but we'd be pretty consistent. We'd be pushing on the door.
Exactly. So, and we may have gotten a Super Bowl with the star power we had at the time.
That's true.
But
Watson, that could work.
I could see that. I mean, I can't see 4 straight AFC championship games and 2 Super Bowls, but I can see, a lot of struggles for a lot of other teams if he was with us during those years. So, and even now for that matter, but I don't know, man. I think he's a great quarterback. And it's funny, brother. It's funny. Everybody thought I was insane when I said I thought it was all crap. But look, they've had what now? 15, 16, 17 months to produce evidence. And a grand jury said, sorry, no evidence. All this time, they had to produce evidence that he did some wrongdoings. And with all the stuff that it to me, it seems like, and somebody said he had some issues in college that was similar to this. I didn't hear about any of that. I don't know if you did, but it was just too coincidental. And for all this time to go by and not one single person can produce an ounce of evidence that he did any wrongdoings is kind of surprising to me, but not surprising to me because I didn't feel like he did it anyway. He just didn't seem like that type of person. But we see now that, he walks in and walks back out with no criminal charges against him.
Well, he could. I'm not really going to comment on it much, but he could still get possibly suspended. If he does, it's going to be somewhere small because you know how the league is. Or like if you make the league look bad, you get in trouble. But we have owners doing a lot of crazy things. I'm not going to go there with that, but we'll see
Yeah.
what happens. Wherever he lands, it will be interesting to see what happens. He could be suspended for a few games. It's just kind of how it goes. We've seen that happen many times before, but we'll see what happens at the end of the day. So
Yeah. Yep. Well, anyway, I don't know what else you got, man, but I think that's pretty much wraps it up for us. Just everybody out there, stay calm. Don't get all flustered and freaked out because honestly, we go through this every year, and every year we end up doing very well. So,
exactly.
it just is what it is. I mean, we can go back and find tweets from last off season. It's going to be the same stuff. What the hell is Veach doing? Why didn't we do this? We're not getting any better. Veach sucks. Blah blah blah. And where were we at last year? So, you build in stages. We did the offensive line last year. Now we're going to work on our defense. We're restructuring players. We're extending players. We're going to be fine. So just everybody relax and just let the guru do his job.
Exactly.
So with that being said, if that's all you got, that's all I got, brother.
Yeah, I think that's all we got, man. We covered pretty much a lot. I think we covered pretty much everything for this past week.
Too. Mm-hmm. Yep. So what we'll do is we'll try to get a spaces in maybe Saturday or Sunday if anything arises that is worth doing. Make sure you follow the website, chiefsfocus.com. Check us out on Instagram. Make sure you keep following us on Twitter. We're on Facebook, Chiefs Focus as well. Our podcast you can find anywhere. Make sure you follow the podcast. That way you know when a new one comes out instead of wondering where it's at and how to find it. It'll just automatically pop up on your phone and new shows come up, and you'll have all the insight that we have as much as we can give you.
Yep. So yeah, because JP's got the context, so JP's been 100%. So
well, I try to do my best. I mean, there's times that we don't get everything, but we get as much as we can get, and hopefully things will turn out the way we want them to. But with that being said, let's see. Luke, he cracks me up. Luke said it looks like we have a really good positive outlook for next season because of our cap space and the players that we've got coming in. But anyway, with that being said, that's all I got. That's all we got. So just make sure you check us out and keep following. And we will talk to you again, hopefully during a spaces this week, and then definitely next Thursday. Peace out, everybody.
Next time, Chiefs Kingdom. Thank you for listening.